Alright, Blizzard, let's talk heroes. Selendis, Commander of the Golden Fleet. Otherwise known as a really fancy way to say a bunch of blingy ships. This one comes to us from Soldier 94. Yeah, there's not really an Overwatch reference I can cram in there, is there? And they're marking Selendis as a multi-class, which is good because Heroes of the Storm desperately needs more multi-classes. I'm still kind of sticking to the argument that people like Karazim and Tyrande should probably be already reflagged as that, because they could totally do it. But I don't know, I guess Blizzard's really committed to just having Varian be his own class at this point in the game, who knows. But, yeah, so multi between a warrior for bruiser or a specialist for siege and push. And I've already read through this, and it's pretty interesting. Now, I will say this going in, that there were parts of this that I didn't agree with. Like, parts of this build that I was like, but there was like one set of skills for Selendis that I really liked, which was like, okay, I have to message this person and see if I can review this because I like this. So, you know, this little critique is going to be kind of all over the map. Stay tuned. So, the combat trait is Plasma Shield, which is pretty standard for Protoss, but Selendis has half HP's worth of HP as shield, regenerating 1 second out of combat, or regenerating 1 shield per second out of combat. You know, standard for Protoss, like they have a shields that regenerate, and it's a good portion of their health. Now, I do wonder if what Soldier means by this is that Selendis has, say, like a standard HP amount, and on top of that, you half that number and you added the shields as well, or if this means she has, say, 300 health total, but 150 that are shields. Like, will she have a standard health bar or a smaller one to make way for shields? That's kind of what I'm asking here. I don't really know. For a warrior multi-class version, I would say it'd probably have to be a full HP bar and then shields on top of that, kind of like Artanis. But I kind of like the idea of having like half shields, half that. The only downside is it gets fucked outright by like Shattering Throw, for instance. Or who else has a Breaking Shield ability? I know there's like 2 or 3. I think Anna has one that also hurts shields too, but I could be wrong. I know there's a few people who have shield breaking talents now, but Varians is like the main one that comes to mind. Primary abilities. The Q is Furious Flurry. Say that 3 times fast. I'm not even going to try. Charge into an enemy minion, or charge into an enemy hero, boss 5 units away. Does that also include minions? I have to assume that includes minions. If it includes bosses, I'm assuming mercs and minions both count as well. Dealing minor to medium damage. Doing 3 strikes to an enemy hero. Charge damages minions for 75. Okay, so it totally doesn't counter minions. For 75 more of damage dealt. So that seems like a really good version of charge that Varian already has. So this is kind of what I was talking about, where it was like, I like some of these abilities and I also have issue with some of them. This is basically a better version of Varian's charge mixed with a bit of Artanis's like double strike ability, because it says it does three strikes to an enemy hero. And I know with Artanis, I believe those count as auto attacks. So with this, it probably also would too. So I mean, this says little blinds and things, but yeah, no, it just like, I don't want to be like, I'm going to be criticizing everything that's here, but at least with the primary abilities in this, I feel like these have just been done by other characters, and that's not really what you want. You don't want a character that's just a mashup of other characters. We kind of already have like an Abathur who could build into that potentially, and even then he does his own thing, so yeah. So I would change that up a little bit. I do like how it's like a warrior get in the face kind of way. Like, I like that. I wouldn't really get rid of the charge. I would just make it so it doesn't feel like so much of a take some of this, that's the cue. Like just make it a little bit more Selendis' own, as opposed to just being 2 different abilities smushed together. Combat prowess. Activate to evade basic attacks, blocking a 50% ability damage, both physical and spell, for 2 seconds. That's Illidan. Illidan already has that. This actually sounds better than what Illidan has. I'm not 100% sure if Illidan blocks spell damage. I think it's just basic attacks and like turret shots and stuff like that, but it could be. I am garbage as Illidan, so I don't know for sure, but that's Illidan. Illidan already has an evade. So maybe for that, I would say, I see what you're doing here. This is like her tanking ability, her ability to mitigate damage. Make this a shield buff. So, like trigger to boost your passive's regeneration, trigger to just give you a blanket shield, trigger to reduce damage to shields, specifically to shields, for a few seconds. Something like that. That would work really well, and it would be more Selendis' own than just I am Illidan, as well as Artanis and Varian. This is a weird hybrid creature we've got here. Although that's very in tune with StarCraft 2, so maybe that's what they're going for. And Audacious Commander shouts out a stirring war cry, making allies move and attack 50% faster for 3 seconds, lasting twice as long on minions and non-boss mercs. That is kind of Raynor. Raynor has Inspiring Cry or Rally Cry or whatever it's called. His W. Is it his W? It might be his E. It's been a while since I played Raynor too. But that's already a thing as well. And also, I'm actually kind of surprised Sonya doesn't have something like that, where it's like a war cry, because that's kind of one of like the entire skill trees they had in Diablo 2 was war cries. So, so again, kind of think this should be more made her own. Allies move and 50% and attack speed is already kind of on Raynor, and that makes sense because he's an assassin, so he should be able to buff damage and possibly give him a bit of an escape. This, if you want to give like a rally cry to Selendis, make it the opposite. Go offensive with it. Go, you use this in the middle of like the enemy thicket. Like you go in team fight, you charge in, you use your shield thing, and then you use this, and it lowers their attack speed or their movement speed or both. Like, you know, go both. But if you want to have a shout, don't take something that already exists. I don't like there. Yes, Varian also does have a demoralizing shout at 20. So have this be a shittier version of that, because that's his 20 talent. That gives him an extra ability. Like, have this be a crappier version of that. I don't know, like, I'm spitballing here, but again, like, all 3 of these main abilities are from other people, so they have to be varied a little bit more than that. Now, I can't talk about the secondary abilities yet, because I have to go to the heroics first, but if you're already reading the screen, you already see why. We'll get there. So, heroic ability number 1, Carrier has arrived. I love that name. I do. I love it. Warp in your own personal carrier after 1 second, gaining new abilities for 45 seconds, spawning 4 interceptors initially. Interceptors have 900 HP and 52 damage. They nickel and dime damage. That's what they've always done. Don't freak out at the low damage. And attack who you order to attack. There's probably a button for that. Following the new move and attacking the first enemy seen, whether minion or hero. So it doesn't actually specify heroes, which could potentially be a bad thing, but at the same time, that could be too broken if they did focus heroes, so... press R to call off interceptors on a target to go autonomous. So, okay, so yeah, you could just focus them yourself, but by default, they don't. The carrier has 2,000 HP, plus, you know, bonus per level, and it can damage Selendis early when killed early. So there's already something I have about that, but I'll get to that. So, it goes into the damage there, the mana, the cooldown, and triggers, and it only triggers when the spell ends, which is good. It should not be triggering while she's already still in it. So I agree with that. Now, the abilities for this. Your Q becomes Build Interceptor, which is construct an additional interceptor, sending it out to attack enemies. It has its own AI, you know, it already says that. I don't see a limit for interceptors, so you definitely want to have one of those. I'd say about 8 is probably fair, maybe 9. Don't go any higher than 10. It's already going to be too broken as it is. Don't go any higher than that. Planetary Beam, reaction, so our ability 1, so it's W. Steer the ground in a 3x7 line, dealing a good moderate amount of damage and leaving a trail of fire, dealing minor damage for 3 seconds. Stationary while casting for 2 seconds. Can cancel by pressing W on the first half, having the cooldown. On the first second, having the cooldown. Cooldown's 12 seconds. It's like, okay, so here's my thoughts in general with the carrier thing as we're going through this. You didn't list how long. Okay, it does say 45 seconds, so there's that. I kind of feel like if you are able to move Planetary Beam at all, it becomes too much of a problem, and it does say it leaves a trail, which means you should be able to move it, but I'm assuming that means for the first 2 seconds, you just have to stay stationary before you can chase them. That gives them time to get away. That makes it balanced, because all of this sounds like it's broken on paper, but when you really start analyzing it, it's actually a little bit more balanced than you'd expect. So there's that. I would actually lower the damage on the Trail of Fire and make it over time. So instead of being 124 damage for 3 seconds, make it like half that, but make it do damage over time so it goes on for a little bit longer than you'd expect. Because it's fire, it's burn damage. Think like the Dragon's thing on Dragonshire, like, you know, something like that. But yeah, like, the fact that you have to stay stationary for 2 seconds actually keeps this ability pretty balanced, as opposed to it being, like, float in the middle of a team fight, just fucking detonate on top of everybody. And if they try to run, you just chase them. Like, it'd be stupidly broken if it was like that, so it's not too bad. Warp jump is your E. Jump to a nearby location instantly after a 2-second travel time. Range 6. I don't really know what the range on 6 is. I kind of like it when people have, like, references to that. I would say that shouldn't go too much farther than Falstad's barrel roll. Like, that's a very small radius, yes. But you don't want to be able to jump across the damn map with it either, because that's cheating. That's more in line with what a starship could do, but it's really fucking broken if you do it. Like, if you're just in lane, you push down one tower, and you're like, all right, over here. And you're there. That'd be stupidly broken. Don't do that. So, range 6, I don't know how far that is, but I'm assuming it's not super far. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say that's probably not too far. After 2 seconds, so I will say that this is an ability that you should be able to stun them out of. So it does say after 2 seconds travel time, which means, you know, like a 2-second build up, you're there. It's weird and kind of weird because you say you jump there instantly after 2 seconds travel time. There's no travel time. It would be 2 seconds charge time would make more sense, or channel time. But you definitely should be able to stun them out of this to prevent them from getting away. The other thing I will say about the carrier in total is it says, can damage Selendis when killed early. For all these extra abilities for being a heroic, this should be like Tychus. This should kill her if it gets ended early. That's almost a non-negotiable for me. For this ability to stay somewhat grounded, this should kill her if they focus it down and kill it early. I know with, you channeled this after the Lost Vikings with their ship, where if you kill it, you don't kill them, you stun them. But yeah, you should absolutely kill Selendis for having all this extra stuff if this thing gets killed early. It's got a lot of health. Like, it does. It's 2,000 health as a base at level 10, plus extra per level. Like, that's crazy good for just having an ult that just gives you all this ranged shit. Or you could jump in, use Planetary Beam, and just take out 2 or 3 guys at once. Like, damn. Make it killer. So, of course, the other heroic has to compete with that, which, unfortunately, as cool as it is, as nice and beefy as it is, it's not as, it doesn't do the job of Carrier. Carrier's Arrive is awesome. So, let's go into it. Strength of the Templar. Charge into an enemy healer, dealing minor to moderate damage, and a 1-second stun boosting your attack and attack speed for 5% for 7 seconds. Can charge on other heroes, kills grant a 2-second duration. So once again, cooldown only starts after the spell ends, which is, again, good. Like, it keeps it more balanced that way, so they have to go even longer without using it again. But this is kind of seeming a little bit like Wrath of the Berserker. It's not the same. It's not nearly as the same as, say, Combat Prowess or Audacious Commander. I'm not saying, like, all you do is take other things. But it's still, like, a big passive thing that you just get to do that just boosts your stats, like, kind of crazy. So there's that. And also, like, you don't really see Selendis doing a lot of fighting in StarCraft 2 personally. Like, she's always talked about as the person who has that. You see, I think, 1 or 2 cutscenes where she's physically fighting herself. I think. It's been a couple weeks since I played, but, you know, not much. So I don't really know if I would have gone for a passive, like, buff like this for her tanking. That said, she's supposed to be a specialist and a bruiser, so I see where your options were kind of limited. So, in that case, this is still not a bad pick. Having extra stuns on it is pretty good. I don't really know what I'd change this to. That's the thing, is I like it, but I also think it's too similar to something else. So, let's go with this. Taking aside the fact that I think it's a little bit similar to Sonya's Wrath of the Berserker ult, it's fine. It's fine on its own. Now, through testing, you may find the stuns to be a little bit broken, as they can be, because you can just charge in, stun them, wail away, charge that guy, stun him, wail away. Like, you may find that's too broken in testing, but on paper, without, like, taking aside the fact that it seems like it's too similar to something, it's fine and I wouldn't change it. The only complaint I really have is the fact that it's too similar. So, take that away, I got nothing left. So, there you go, like, Strength of the Templar. Like I said, it's a good pick for if you're going for the tanking one, but see, here's the inlaid problem I have with your Selendis thing, is you've built it as a multi-class, but I honestly think if anyone picks Selendis, they're gonna pick her to be a specialist. They're not gonna pick her and be the guy, like, it's like when you pick Varian, a lot of people just want to play damage Varian. Tank Varian's very good, but he's less fun than just picking Twin Blades and just going ham. That's way more fun. Or picking Colossus Smash, just picking that Morales and just destroying her. Way more fun. And in the end of the day, like, this is a game about having fun. Yes, there's people who take it competitively. Yes, there's people who take it too seriously. It's still a video game Video games are inlaid, a way to have fun. And it seems like Carrier Has Arrived is way the fuck more fun than Strength of the Templar build. So, I don't know. I almost wonder if you just retool this as just a specialist build and just make her a carrier. In some way, I don't know how you do that and keep it balanced, but it could be a challenge. It could be fun. But as it stands right now, I just don't see people picking strength over carrier, even if they don't have a tank. Like, if someone's like, hey, could you please go tank? They're gonna be like, no, I picked this to go specialist. Like, you know, fuck you. I would do that. Because I mostly play quick match and I play what I want, so fuck you. I'm terrible! Yeah, either way, that's my thoughts on the main build there. I kind of think Carrier Has Arrived has swept across and been way too much fun and way too cool to be replaced by anything else. Just by 2 cents. She also has a special mount. She has boosters when she's in her carrier. Kind of saw that coming. It gives her just a bit of movement speed. You know, you can't give her a broken-ass mount. Come on. So the talents. Final Strike for the Q. Furious Flurry's Third Strike arcs, dealing cresting damage, sweeping damage, whatever you want to call it. Not too bad. Standard. It kind of mimics after Leoric's third basic attack now, where it does sweeping damage. Or is that his first 2 attacks and his third one? I have not played Leoric since he got remade. I gotta do that today. I should do that today. Retaliatory Blow. W when in melee range, deal 50% damage on your basic attack after the effect ends. So that's stacking with the evade. Even if you changed it to just being the shield thing I mentioned before, you wouldn't even have to change this. This still works. Hierarch's Tutelage. When she activates Audacious Commander, she also attacks 20% faster for the duration. See, you can keep that the same even if you made Audacious Commander be the debuff that it is. I would probably lower this to about 10% because it's going to start stacking to be too broken. But yeah, it's fine. Extensive Training. Q. Land 75 Q strikes on enemy heroes. Deal additional % damage on casting Q. Not bad. 75 seems like a lot, but when you're doing 3 strikes at a time, it mounts up pretty quickly, so not that hard. I mean, I've had matches as Arthas, just stacking his passive the whole game, and I think I've ended some matches with like 45 hits, and that's 1 at a time, possibly 2 if you buff it. That's still pretty fucking good, so this should be doable. Maybe you want to lower, I don't know, but this seems doable right now. And Colin's Grace, it's regeneration globes for health. Yeah. Max HP and regen. If that's the same way as Tassadar does it, then we're okay. I guess Tassadar is more for mana, but whatever. Like, this is basically just your health globe talent. Level 4. Fighter's Escort active. Call in a Scout Fighter craft dealing 50% of her current damage. And immediately rushes to what you order to attack. I'm going to say that better have a shitty health bar. Like, a really low health bar. Because just having that extra thing, that's like a mini Rainer's Raiders ult. On a 45-second cooldown. That's pretty good. So that better have a really crappy health bar. And to be perfectly honest, I'd say make that 25% of her damage dealt up to 50 versus mercenaries and minions. That's what I'd say to make that a little bit more balanced. Parry W can now mitigate 65% of damage from abilities. Does that mean... What? Mitigate. Oh, okay. Okay, so, see, since this doesn't evade everything, it blocks only 50% of it, then this boosts to 65. Okay, that's what that meant. I was like, sitting there like, wait, are you adding a counter onto this too? Because that's kind of stupidly broken. But okay, no, if it's just upping it from 50 to 65%, I'm okay with that. To Arms Templars spawns 2 Zealots who have small HP and minor damage. They will push the nearest lane until killed. That's basically an Azmodan thing. Like, that's just an Azmodan Demonic Commander. The only thing is, it does not buff minions, and you get 2 of them. I'm okay with that. She's built as a specialist. It's fine. It's fine. Not a bad thing to have that being kind of a bit of a copy. Now, that said, I would make that... It's for your E, though. I would make that an active, not an E ability, and give it a moderate cooldown, like longer than Azmodan's, because that's part of his kit. This is an extra. That's my thoughts. Callan's Craft trait now adds 15% to your shields. Standard shield buff, that's okay. Like, no problem with that. With Zeal, increases allies' attack by 10%. I'd be okay with this only if you made it so by default, the E does the demoralizing stuff as opposed to the buffing stuff, because otherwise this will start to stack too fast and it gets crazy. Ire's Bastion for E. When at above or 50% health, combat prowess can block 90% of ability damage, including heroics. I don't know if that's balanced. Because on the one hand, like, it'd be pretty easy to turn it off, because you just have to half her health, you have to burst her down. But at the same time, it'd be really hard to do that if she's blocking that much damage with her freaking... with her E? Wait. Did I read that wrong? Oh, you got it wrong. Okay, that's why. This is, this is for E, apparently. It's supposed to be for your W, because combat prowess is your W. Sorry, not this one. This one here. I highlighted this one. I meant this one. Ire's Bastion. So yeah, that's why I got confused. I don't know. I feel like the numbers on that need tweaking, but you know, call in a mathematician or something for that one, because I can't find the balance on it. Peerless Executor now has attack 60% faster for the duration. Again, you are really obsessed with having this thing just stack buffs on each other. You're gonna have a broken character by like level 7 at this rate. These numbers have to be fixed in some way. In Living Kala. Is that an In Living Color reference? Am I freaking Hot's character? Is that what you're doing? Regen 30% faster for 3 seconds after exiting combat. That's not bad. If that's just for shields, that's not bad. But do I even have a problem with that? I really don't. I think that's actually a cool ability. Like, you get into combat, you run to the next lane to help in a new team fight, and your shields are already coming back. I like that, yeah. Yeah, you know what? If Nazeebo could have a thing where he could just throw his spiders into a lane of minions and start healing like crazy fast off of it by the time he gets to the next lane. Yeah, no, you know, keep that. I like that. Level 13. So level 10 is skipped because it's just the 2 heroics, which are already touched on. Level 13. Call to action for the E. Now active for 4 seconds and affects allies wherever you go. I feel like if you just built straight E, you'd have so much buffing power. I don't see a problem with it, but maybe... No, you know what? I'm going to stick to my initial thoughts on the E. Make it a debuff to the enemies. And instead of making it debuff them wherever they go, have it linger longer. So activate for 4 seconds, so it deteriorates over 4 seconds or something like that. I don't know. That's what I would say. Unbound Fury. Furious Flurry gains a second charge of 10 seconds of casting, dealing half the damage. Don't really have a problem with that one, actually. Dealing half the damage is what sold me on that. Seasoned Zealot. You get 10% movement and attack speed for 3 seconds after using your W. I'm okay with that as well, really. Because if whether you keep it as the evade or the shield buff, giving them a movement and attack speed buff that's not related to the E for a change is okay. Unrelenting E. Minions are affected for 2 seconds more and dealing 50% damage. That's your pushing talent, really. Don't really have a problem with that one. Especially if you just make it so it's... you know, actually, I'd almost make it so if you cast your E to demoralize enemies, but your minions are affected by it as well, then they get the damage boost. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay having this be a positive thing instead of a negative thing, finally. Level 16, Amon's Concubine, active. Boost your attack and attack speed by 75% by sacrificing your health, dropping to 50 upon activation. Effects last until you respawn. Oh, man. If you want a glass cannon, you found it. So you go crazy high on damage and attack speed, but you have 50 health. But you have your shields. Because this doesn't list your shields. So this is like, you've got your half your health bar, that's your shields, and then 50 health. So if you want to go crazy damage build, I don't know if the numbers are in line for this, but I like that. I like that concept. So, shit, yeah, I like that. I'm gonna say keep that, but the numbers might need to be tweaked, because that's interesting. That's almost like having a third crazy assassin build in this weird multi-class Selendis you have. So, Might of the Dalam, Dalam? I can't remember. Furious Flurry deals 4 blows, dealing an additional 20% damage to heroes. That might be a little bit too broken. Like, you're already going to be using that on heroes, especially if you get your freaking quest to beat the shit out of them with it. You may want to tone that number down a little bit. Combat Vigor, passive, basic attacks reduce the cooldown of all abilities by 1 second per strike. I'm okay with that if it doesn't include your Q. If your Q counts as 3, possibly 4 auto attacks, that's not okay. If it doesn't, not bad. Although that said, no, I guess you can't. I was gonna say, if you could combine that with Amon's Concubine, with your 75% attack speed. That's fucking insane, but you can't because on the same talent tree, so that's probably okay. As long as it doesn't include your Q, that's probably okay. One with the Kala, mana regens for 30% faster. That might be okay. As a level 16 talent, chances are good it's not going to get taken all that much, because these other ones are actually really good beside it, and you're not going to be too mana problematic by this point in the game. Like, most mana heavy characters usually have a way to mitigate that by this point. This might be hers, so And level 20, the Golden Armada, so the heroic for carrier has arrived. Now summons a band of Phoenix Starfighters that follow and attack all enemy heroes for 3 seconds. Can now build 10 interceptors. Up to, or just an extra 10? I'm hoping that means like your original limit was like 7 or 8, and now it's 10, is what I'm hoping. Now can use D to stun target an enemy hero via Graviton, calling 2 Phoenix to strafe the target for 207 damage. Huh. So can the Phoenix be attacked? Like, can the Phoenix Starfighters even be attacked? Because this seems to imply that if you, like, summon them in and they'll get destroyed, but you hit D on a guy and summon them, does that just summon 2 more? Or does that imply that you're supposed to still have 2 alive when you do it? I don't know. That's interesting. I don't even know how you could change that to make it more balanced, because it doesn't seem too broken right now, provided they can be destroyed, and you don't create extra ones. And it's called the Golden Armada. Armada. Wow, I can't talk today. And that's her thing. That's what she's known for. So I don't want to change that because it fits her character. All right, I say leave it for now. Strength and Unity. You now have 75% attack speed for the first 3 seconds. Kills enemies, grant 50% damage permanently. The permanently makes me worried, for one thing, because that seems a little broken. And 2, what the hell happens if you take this, and you take this, and you leave this alone? Like, you leave this as it is. That's broken. That is not a tank or a bruiser anymore. That's a straight up assassin. That is like, you are going to kill everything. I get that you have to make a really busted ass assassin build to compete with the freaking cool ass carrier has arrived build. You may want to tone these numbers down a bit though, because damn. Like, damn. I don't know, it seems broken to me. Maybe I'm just wrong, maybe I'm over exaggerating, but it sounds broken. Fortune adversity trait. When at or below 25% health, plasma shields regen 75% faster and mitigate. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. So they cancel 15% damage and they regen faster. That's actually pretty good for a bruiser, because you want it's basically having resist damage or stone skin as Sonya, basically. Like, it's good. It's helpful. And Fury of the Delam. Q strikes now give 50% vulnerability. W strike back for 5% of damage dealt while dodging. And I mean, it's not bad. It buffs 2 abilities, which you actually don't see ever on people, so that's pretty good for a 20 talent. I feel like the numbers need to be tweaked again there, but I keep saying that, and I don't really have a suggestion on how to tweak them, so it's not bad. For a 20 talent, it feels worth it, if nothing else. And then your last one is Rewind. Activate, like, I feel like most rewinds nowadays kind of need some kind of drawback to them, so they're not just like, click, but like Alarak, for instance, with Last Laugh. Was it no, it's Hasty Bargain. Hasty Bargain is a rewind, but it's got a drawback to it, so give it some kind of drawback and we're golden. Armada. Haha, I'm clever. Alright, so cosmetics. They actually, like, Soldier actually put in ideas for skins. That's kind of cool. So there's 4 retints for just standard Selendis. Daylem Selendis, Nerf Chords cut and retint for that. That's, if you haven't played StarCraft 2, you're gonna have no idea what the hell that even means. Play StarCraft 2, it's really good. And then Draenei Shaman Selendis. I like that, because we still need a Draenei hero in this freaking Nexus. Blizzard, get on that. But if we can't have one, let's get some skins. Like, something to put a Draenei in the Nexus. I'm okay with this. Obligatory emoji pack sprays. High Executor, Golden Fleet, Warp In animated. I like... More people need to do this cosmetic thing to make these little builds that much more interesting. I'm okay with that. And then Portrait Selendis Emblem, High Executor of the Daylem, and then just a changelog. So, all in all, that's Selendis. She's pretty interesting. Like I said, I don't foresee people playing her to go bruiser, as broken as you can make that. I see people playing her to pilot a fucking carrier and be awesome in it. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Like, you've got a really cool idea here. I do think that some ideas need to be retooled so they're not just carbon copies or better versions of other characters. But the Golden Fleet thing, like the whole Armada and Carrier Has Arrived thing, I love it. I want to see more of that. Like, even if you just retooled her to just be a specialist, I'm okay with that. But if you don't, I just need to see a little more creativity on the non-carrier abilities. So that's what I think. Like, if you guys like this idea, let me know in the comments below. If you had any suggestions for Soldier, let him know in the comments below, or her. I'm not sure anymore. I have to be very careful about this because I've already gotten it wrong on one person. But that's been all for today. Yeah, Blizzard, get on it.